Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the regular council meeting for June 13th, 2022 for the City of Dauphin. We acknowledge that the land on which we gather is Treaty 2 land, traditional territory of the Anishinaabe, Cree, Oji-Cree, Assiniboine, Dakota, and Dene peoples and homeland of the Métis Nation. We affirm our commitment to moving forward in partnership with Indigenous communities in a spirit of collaboration and reconciliation. Moved by Councillor Eiler, seconded by Councillor Juba. Be it resolved that the regular council meeting agenda be amended as follows. One addition, 11B4, Canadian Royal Purple Lodge 387, Dauphin Lodge meeting. That's taking place on June 14th, 2022. Any questions or comments there? Call those. All in favor? Motion carried. And moved by Councillor Eiler, seconded by Councillor Bellemare. Be it resolved that council accepts the regular council meeting agenda as amended. All in favor? Motion carried. Moved by Councillor Juba, seconded by Councillor Eilers. Be it resolved that council waives the reading and accepts and approves as circulated the minutes of the following meeting, that from the regular council meeting on May 30th of this year. Any questions or comments regarding those minutes? Seeing none, I will call the questions. All in favor? Motion carried. Moved by Councillor Bellemare, seconded by Councillor Juba. Whereas the Municipal Act Section 162 states each member of the council must attend the public hearing unless the member, A, is excused by other members from attending the hearing, B, is unable to attend owing to illness, or C, is required under the Municipal Council Conflict of Interest Act to withdraw from the hearing. Be it resolved that council excuses the following council member from the June 13th, 2022 public hearing scheduled, and that is Deputy Mayor Stikilo. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, I'll call those. All in favor? Motion carried. Moved by Councillor Bellemare, seconded by Councillor Eilers. Be it resolved that council now adjourns to hear the public hearing as scheduled. All in favor? Motion carried. Okay. Public hearing participants, item 4A, number 1, variance order application 12.05.221600/VO-22-01/01. It is 218 Buchanan Avenue West, registered for in-person attendance here tonight. John Uri, owner and applicant, along with Jerry Wheeler. Good evening, gentlemen. We will now proceed with the public hearings for variance order application 12.05.221600/VO-22-01/01. Again, 218 Buchanan Avenue West, for owner and applicant Credence Capital Incorporated, care of John Uri, for lot 13 and 14, block 3, plan 420 DLTO, to allow for construction of a two single-story, 2,158 square foot threeplex dwelling units to comply with the City of Dauphin zoning bylaw. Would the applicant like to speak in favor of the application? Jerry, go ahead. Just turn your mic on and fire away.
No, we're excited to kind of add some more housing to Dauphin, and it's actually the previous zoning and variances that you approved for us on Ash Street, 20 Ash Street. We're kind of doing a new style building, and we're hoping that with the success of that building, which is going to go up next week, that we might be able to do some kind of similar buildings like this on Buchanan, and so that we can kind of continue moving forward. So if anyone's would want to come see kind of that building site next week, you'd be welcome to kind of see what a new kind of design coming to Dauphin. So
great, thank you. Does council have any questions of the applicant? Councillor Bellemare, go ahead.
Okay, so the 20 Ash is the new style next week? Okay.
Yeah, it's we've got a crew coming out from Winkler, and it's going to be a new style building that they expect that they'll be able to have the whole building up within 5 days. The windows, doors, insulation, vapor barrier, the roofing, the siding. So then it'll be ready for interior framing after that. And we're looking at training up a couple Dauphin crews to kind of learn this new style. And building, and hopefully we can replicate this for the future. So.
Okay, further? Okay, thank you for building housing, because we know that it's very much in need, and you guys have done a great job doing lots of stuff. And I guess I just sort of have a question where I'm coming from. We're looking at climate, getting a climate committee going and figuring out where we're going with that. And we just worked on the city plan last week and just kind of looking forward. And so my question is, when I look at your property, do you guys have plans for any trees in your landscaping?
Yeah, always. There's actually lots of existing trees there that we're looking at maintaining. And kind of under that idea with the climate, my 20 Ash Street is actually being designed so that it can have a full solar panel roof. One of my early designs was actually to try to make it a net zero house without government funding. Right now, there's not a great program with Manitoba Hydro to make it affordable. It's probably about a 20 to 25 year payback for solar under existing costing. So if I could get that down to about a 10-year payback, then I've got it prepared that I can put solar panels. The whole roof is going to be a monoslope, so the whole roof is facing south, and would be able to lend that. And that's something that if this prototype's kind of successful, then we'd like to replicate, the best of this design forward. So.
Okay, so new housing and heading towards net zero, that's awesome. So so I just wanted to mention a bit about trees and green space and that kind of thing for your consideration. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Councillor Eilers?
Well, that was one of my questions, and I have to commend you that you've done an excellent job with all your other properties of saving the trees. I've always appreciated it, and I think the last time we were talking about it, you were in teleconference, and I said, I love people who do that. So thank you very much for that. My question too was on how efficient is you're talking about insulation and stuff. Is there extra? Is that going to mean that it's going to reduce heating costs? So that was one of my questions. The second one, when is the best time to visit when you're going this? Because it really sounds interesting. It would be nice to kind of, I'm trying to visualize it, but really hard. So what's your time frame? When's the best time to come and see this design?
Awesome. No, I appreciate that. This is going to be, the walls are going to be R28, so it's 40% above what Manitoba code is for exterior walls. And then that's got something, it's connected panels that are slide together. And so then it has some efficiency. It doesn't have what's called thermal bridging. Whereas on a normal house, you've got the cold or the warm goes through the 2x6s. And so then you actually can see with the thermal gun, you can see the lines of all the 2x6s. Whereas this doesn't have that. It's solid spray foam insulation. And so we're really inviting lots of the experts in Dauphin to come out. I'm hoping, I've told all my contractors that this is going to be a fun project. I'd like to have coffee breaks together. We're going to do actually lunches together. Lunchtime is probably a great time to come visit. Anyone from council and anybody else that you think from the city that could benefit from this would be more than welcome to attend and just to kind of learn together and to see what we're doing. And there's interest from, I guess, a couple other organizations that are looking at doing some other economical housing that would like to maybe look at this if it's viable for them too. So
the one that came to mind was Parkland Crossing, and stuff. I'm really glad that you're inviting others to do that, and it's a show and tell kind of thing. But it's really good training, and for us to even see, to give us an idea. And I will be doing a write-up for our Communities in Bloom judges. So that'll be part of probably our tour on July the 31st. Awesome. And probably would like to invite you to talk about that when we meet with them, probably invite us to the luncheon we have on that day. So I just wanted to tell you that there will be on July the 28th, so noon or 12:15 at the Fort Dauphin Museum, if you could do a little presentation, because I'm sure I can't address their questions. You guys are the, kings of this. So thank you very much for what you're doing to our community and adding to our housing issue as well. Appreciate that.
Awesome. No, thank you. And yeah, we've actually, Wayne Olson's been part of this whole process there with Parkland Crossing. And yeah, he's actually gotten some quotes from the factory and then he's actually shared my name with Jeremy from the Friendship Center as well, who has a couple who thought that this design might work really well for them too. So. Yeah.
We'll add to the economics because that's one issue facing our low income people is trying to keep up with utilities with the increase now with hydro and everything. So that's great. Thank you.
Councillor Bellemare.
For the 20 Ash, how many families do you have on a lot or 2 lots? What's that look like?
Yeah, so that's we've got a duplex being built there, and just like you've mentioned, kind of the need for housing. It was interesting. Me and my wife were at a different one of our rental properties, and a lady came up to us on the street, and she said, "I want to rent here." And he says, "Well, sorry, we're all full up at this property and stuff like that." She says, "I really need a place to rent." And it says Vermilion East, I guess, had a waiting list of about 10 or 15 people now on it, so that it was full to capacity, and so they needed a place to move into town. And it says, "Well, I've got this lot on Ash that you might be interested in." And so all it was an empty lot with 4 stakes on it, and she drove by it and took a look at it, and came back and says, "I think I want to move in there." And it just says, "Oh, there's not a whole lot to see yet." And a week later, she says, "I think I may have rented out the other side for you too, because I've got another family person that had wanted to move in as well." And that was even before seeing that's just an empty lot with 4 stakes on it. And so we're hoping that all works out, and we're still in communication. But so it's just a duplex. It's a 2 2-bedroom units that we have there. But the need is great, and so this is.
Yeah, and plus there's green space for the families. That's a concern of mine. The one that we're talking about today, though, is not that kind of construction. It's a more traditional construction.
It might be this kind of construction, depending on what the economics work for the budgeting. So that's what we're working through the numbers now, just to see what's the best return. So.
Councillor Juba.
Thank you very much. With all the questions, I had to think to myself a couple of questions. First of all, I want to thank you both for accommodating some of the Ukrainian families that have moved into our community. You really did a big business favor for the Ukrainian families. So I want to thank you for that on behalf of the group. And my question, we always talk about affordable housing, and my question is, what are your monthly rates that you plan to ask for rent? Have you set those at this point? Because affordable housing has a different variable for a lot of different people. So when you're addressing that.
Very difficult, yeah. Right now, the units, the 2 2-bedroom units we're doing is going to be between $1,000 and $1,100 a month. It'll be a little bit less for utilities we're expecting on this build. But that it's going to be very difficult to do affordable housing without government support right now. Yeah.
I just want to thank you again. I never realized the cost or what the value of rent is in the community, and for a brand new place, I feel that's very affordable.
We're still quite low compared to other places, for Brandon or Winnipeg. And we've always tried to keep it as low as possible. That was our goal, was to, create affordable housing. And I've been watching this last 2 years from rents have gone from like $750 for a brand new bill for 1 bedroom up to around $900, to $950. That's crazy. That's only in a couple of years span. That's just rising costs and, trying to keep the thing, to an affordable level. Yeah. But everything that we've built is like rented like instantly. That's amazing,
Again, I thank you very much, and thank you for taking my phone calls at 10 o'clock at night looking for homes for the.
So if we have, there's always transitions going on. If we have more houses and stuff open, we're going to definitely be, absolutely. There's more coming in, right? Yeah, it's on the radar. So
great, thank you, guys. Is there any person present who wishes to speak in objection to this application? And that's pretty much it. The representation for the public hearing is now completed. So thanks very much, you guys, for coming in and answering our questions. And as always, like Kathy, Councillor Bellemare said, it's great to add housing to the community. And just like you said too, Cherry. So thanks again. Moved by Councillor Juba, seconded by Councillor Bellemare. Be it resolved that council now reconvenes to the regular council meeting. All in favor? Motion carried. Moved by Councillor Eilers, seconded by Councillor Bellemare. Be it resolved that the public hearing for variance order application 12.05.221.600/VO-22-01/01 for owner Credence Capital, care of John Uri, for lot 13 and 14, block 3, plan 420 DLTO. It is 218 Buchanan Avenue West, to allow for construction of a 2 single-story, 2,158 square foot, 3-plex dwellings in a residential multiple family zone to comply with the City of Dauphin zoning bylaw be now concluded. Any final questions or comments there? Call those. All in favor? Motion carried. Whoa. Moved by Councillor Juba, seconded by Councillor Eilers. Whereas due notice was given with the respect to variance order application 12.05.221.600/VO-22-01/01, and whereas no objections were received to said application, so be it resolved that variance order application for owner and applicant Credence Campbell Incorporated, care of John Uri, for 218 Buchanan Avenue West, to vary the interior side yard setback from 3.5 meters to 2.44 meters, the corner side yard setback from 4.5 meters to 2.26 meters, and the rear yard setback from 7.5 meters to 1.5 meters to allow for construction of a 2 single-story, 2,158 square foot, 3-plex dwellings in a residential multifamily zone to comply with the City of Dawson's zoning bylaw, be approved with the following conditions. Number 1, the applicant obtains a minor variance approval to reduce the site area from a required minimum of 1,116 square meters, to an existing 1,051.3 square meters to comply with the bulk requirements of the City of Dauphin zoning bylaw 04/2015. Number 2, the applicant obtains a minor variance approval to reduce the number of parking stalls from a multiple family zone from a required minimum of 10 stalls to 9 stalls to comply with the bulk requirements of the City of Dauphin zoning bylaw 04/2015. Number 3, the applicant obtains a separate demolition permit to accommodate the new construction development as proposed. Number 4, the applicant obtains a building permit for the City of Dauphin for the construction of the proposed 2 3-plex dwellings, including submission of drawings and documents as required by the City of Dauphin. Number 5, the applicant will submit an up-to-date legal land surveyor's staking certificate. Number 6, the new 3-plex dwelling units will require new separate service branch connections from the street lines to the building. The owner will be responsible for the cost of the services. Number 7, the owner is responsible for the costs of any new approach or relocation of existing approach, including maintenance. And number 8, lot surface drainage cannot adversely affect the adjacent property. It is recommended that it be done in consultation and cooperation with adjacent property owners. Any questions or comments regarding all of that? Seeing none, I'll call questions. All in favor? Motion carried. Moved by Councillor Juba, seconded by Councillor Eilers. Be it resolved that all items listed under item 5 consent agenda be approved as follows and form part of these minutes. 2 proclamations today, and in her final meeting, of the school year, we'll let Catherine Kowalczyk, our youth member, take the first one. The proclamation is for the longest day of smiles. Take it away, youth member.
Thank you. Whereas the longest day of smiles encourages community ambassadors to raise awareness and funds to help a child born with a cleft condition smile and change their life with free, safe cleft surgery and comprehensive care. And whereas from sun up to sundown, from coast to coast to coast, and Canadians are dedicating June 19th, 2022, and the time leading up to it to helping children smile. And whereas Operation Smile Canada is a volunteer-delivered global medical charity that exists to ensure every child around the world has access to the safe, effective surgery that will change their life forever. Now, therefore, we, the Council of the City of Dauphin, do hereby proclaim June 19th, 2022 as the longest day of smiles, so that waiting children can be provided with the exceptional cleft care and a hopeful future with a new smile. Dated at the City of Dauphin in the province of Manitoba, this 13th day of June 2022, signed by Mayor Loughlin.
Awesome. Thank you very much. The second proclamation is for National Indigenous Peoples Day. Whereas this June 21st, National Indigenous Peoples Day is the 26th anniversary of celebrating the heritage, diverse culture, and valuable contributions of First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples in our country, to our country, province, and communities. And whereas National Indigenous Peoples Day is also an opportunity to come together to share the experience of Indigenous culture and traditional food, dance, storytelling, and games. And whereas collectively we recognize the courage of residential school survivors and their families and grieve the suffering and loss of Indigenous children to the residential school system. And whereas we believe that every child matters, and that meaningful steps towards reconciliation in a spirit of respect, cooperation, and partnership are more important than ever before. Now, therefore, we, the Council of the City of Dauphin, do hereby proclaim June 21st, 2022 as National Indigenous Peoples Day. We shall move now to number 3, the outstanding water accounts, which are added to taxes. There's 4 today. Be it resolved that the following accounts be added to taxes. 325 2nd Avenue Northeast, $107.64. The previous tenant did not pay their final utility bill. On 12 Ida Street, $240.66. Same thing, the previous tenant did not pay their final utility bill. 308 Railway Avenue, $66.75. The owner did not pay their final utility bill. And 803 Elme Street, $106.88. The previous tenant did not pay the final utility bill there. That all totals up to $521.93, and that is recommended by the Director of Finance and the Utility Clerk. Under 5A, filing items, Association of Manitoba Municipalities, the AMM Parkland Directors Update, 2022 Parkland District Meeting, and the news release, the full range of resources to support municipal elections. Number 2, the Federation of Canadian Municipalities, FCM Connect for May 31st and June the 10th. Number 3, the Government of Manitoba news releases from the Premier, new Minister of Natural Resources and Northern Development, and Environment, Climate, and Parks, additional $3 million in investments in watershed district programs. Under 4, Canada/Manitoba news release, investment of $7 million in virtual healthcare initiatives. Number 5, Prairie Mountain Health, Health Plus newsletter for June of this year. Number 6, Mountain View School Division's News Digest for May 30th of this year. Number 7, Minister of Municipal Relations flood supports. And number 8, the letter from Member of Parliament Dan Mazur on carbon tax. All those items as recommended by the Mayor and the City Manager. Any questions or comments regarding those items? Seeing none, I'll call the questions. All in favor? Motion carried. Moved by Councillor Bellemare, seconded by Councillor Juba. Be it resolved that Council accepts as information the following corporate report for tonight's meeting, June 13th, 2022, that of the City Manager. Take it away, City Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's been a couple weeks since our last meeting, and in those last 10 working days, I did have 2 days of vacation. So I've jam-packed a bunch of stuff into a bit of a shorter couple weeks. The bulk of my report does deal with the city plan. So as per the Planning Act, all municipalities must have a development plan, which is a document that speaks to land use policies, as well as its purpose for physical, social, environmental, and economic objectives. The City of Dauphin does have a development plan in place. It was adopted through Bylaw 14/2010. The Act indicates that the development plan should be reviewed approximately every 5 years, and so our city plan was due for a review. Through a request for proposal process, the review of the development plan project was awarded to Urban Systems, and they are a consulting firm with offices in Western Canada, including Winnipeg. Part of the review process was a development plan in a week blitz in the community, which took place last week. During that time, the consultant set up a studio in the committee room of City Hall and used that as their home base office to conduct their consultations with staff, council, stakeholders, and the public. And I believe Mr. Jerry Wheeler was part of that public consultation process. I was involved in 8 meetings in 4 days led by Urban Systems. Those meetings lasted anywhere from 1 to 2.5 hours each. They involved different combinations of council, senior management, and the public. We discussed the likes and dislikes of what we see in Dauphin and a vision for Dauphin. We drew fuzzy lines and blobs on maps, and that signified different areas of use and that we wanted to develop or that we wanted to see something different in. And I will say we had fun. That was a great experience. Urban Systems took comments gathered from those 4 days back to their offices in Winnipeg and will be developing a draft development plan, which they've called a city plan because it's more than just the minimum outlined in the Planning Act. And we should see that city plan or development plan by the end of August or beginning of September for our first review. There was a survey out that we put out to the public about middle last week. I think it coincided with the day that we opened up our public consultations, and when it closed today, there was 150 responses to the survey. That's huge. According to Urban Systems, they said that was a huge response for a community our size for this type of thing. So that was great to hear that people put the word out. So we anticipate there to be another community consultation process in the late fall, and the development plan or city plan will be delivered to the city by the end of the year. The Planning Act does require that the plan be approved by the province, so it will take several months thereafter for the plan to be adopted and implemented. I'm continuing with the workplace safety and health document review that I started a couple weeks ago. And I'm working through these on Tuesday mornings. It's like Tuesday mornings with Maury. It's like Tuesday mornings with the Workplace Safety and Health Act. Not sure it's as interesting, but definitely important. Next item was the Dauphin Airport. So I've been working with Al Gray regarding an unveiling ceremony at the airport for a new memorial that he's organizing that will commemorate soldiers who were killed while training as part of the British Commonwealth Air Training Plan. The airport manager and I are coordinating the event with Transport Canada and working with Mr. Gray on the logistics. This event will be very memorable. Stay tuned for more details, and it is going to be happening the last weekend in August. And last item, just human resources. I did meet with a senior manager regarding an HR matter, and that concludes my report.
Thank you very much. Any questions or comments regarding the city manager's report? Councillor Bellemare.
Yeah, I'm thinking that they got the money if they're going to be putting that memorial together for the end of August. That's great because I know lots of community members have been supporting that. So the 150 surveys. So I know that when people came here and they had all the stickies, that's all going to be collated. So we're going to see a composite of what the 150 surveys said as well.
That's correct. So in each of the times that we met with them, we answered with each group that met with Urban Systems at the beginning anyways, they kept asking the same questions. So the same questions of different groups. So just staff, just council, public consultation had the same questions as well as the survey. So with 150 answers from the survey compared and then compiled with staff, council, and the public, we've got a huge cross-section of suggestions or information for them to put together something. Yes.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Councillor Juba.
Yes, I may have missed it, but when is the first draft available?
Yeah, we're thinking end of August or beginning of September. They'll take a couple months to put it all together. There's also an informal process that they will review it with different government agencies because that's a requirement. And then once it is put together and the city gives first reading to it, there will be another circulation through government offices. So it's a bit of a lengthy process to get approved.
Councillor Eilers, any questions? No? Okay. Call the questions. All in favor? Motion carried. Moved by Councillor Eiler, seconded by Councillor Bellemare. Be it resolved that Council accepts as information the following corporate report for tonight's meeting from the ICT manager. Any questions or comments regarding that report? Seeing none, I'll call the questions there. All in favor? Motion carried. Moved by Councillor Bellemare, seconded by Councillor Juba. Be it resolved that the finance accounts have been examined by Council and be hereby authorized and approved as follows. Check totals going from 29784 to 29865. That's 82 checks totaling $234,234.61. No voided checks in the current range, no voided checks in past ranges. There were 5 electronic payments for May totaling $192,430.87. Any questions or comments there? I'll call the questions. All in favor? Motion carried. Moved by Councillor Eiler, seconded by Councillor Bellemare. Be it resolved that Council accepts as information the following engineering report for the meeting tonight from the Director of Public Works and Operations. Any comments or questions regarding that report? Sorry, Councillor Bellemare.
The request for proposals were going to go out for the job at the south end sometime this spring. Can you give me an update on how that process is going?
Yeah, with all the provincial flooding and the emergencies, we've just been delayed with getting a tender ready. We're working with the province regularly, and we have a meeting with them later this week. So we're getting close. It's just the amount of weather-related issues. Not only they have faced, we're quite a ways behind schedule on a lot of our planned work right now. So that's about all I can offer.
Any other questions or comments? We'll call those. All in favor? Motion carried. Moved by Councillor Juba, seconded by Councillor Bellemare. Be it resolved that Council accepts as information the following engineering staff report for tonight's meeting, that of the building inspector for the month of May. Any questions or comments regarding that report? Seeing none, I'll call the questions. All in favor? Motion carried. Moved by Councillor Eiler, seconded by Councillor Bellemare. Be it resolved that Council accepts as information the following protective services report for the meeting tonight, that of the animal control officer for the month of May. Any questions or comments there, Councillor Bellemare?
Yeah, I see in there 2 dog seizures. Do we know anything more about what was happening? Like what leads up to a dog needing to be seized, and where does it go once it's seized?
Certainly. So I actually don't know the details of this particular one. If you'd like, I could find those out. But in general, either there's been repeated warnings and an education process that the homeowners would go through to stop a behavior of a dog, and that maybe perhaps that was not successful, or the dog's life and safety and well-being are endangered. Those would be kind of the two things that would need the animal to be removed. Once it is removed, it would go to our pound for assessment. And then we decide what we do with it after that.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Juba?
Oh, actually, no.
Okay, I saw you put your hand up, so that's fine. No problem. Councillor Eilers.
Yes, I was just looking at the numbers. It's got 14 complaints, and then it says 18 were investigated. So what's the difference there?
It's just the carryover from month to month.
Okay.
So there would be 14 new complaints, but there was 18 investigated. So most likely those 14 plus 4 from the last month. And sometimes the investigation does carry more lengthy. So it would be pretty rare for those numbers to match.
Okay. And the other thing is I found it interesting that we had 5 foxes that were, but that's kind of really high for our community. And the other thing, just to Councillor Bellemare's, there were 2 dog seizures, and it says they're health related. So it might be that the dogs weren't well looked after. That's another reason that they will, in addition to that they might be dangerous as well. So
dangerous is another good another
Yes.
reason, yeah.
Okay, any other questions or comments? No, we'll call the questions in. All in favor? Motion carried. Moved by Councillor Bellemare, seconded by Councillor Juba. Be it resolved that council accepts as information the following protective services report for tonight's meeting from the bylaw enforcement officer for May. Any questions or comments there?
This is
Okay, Councillor Juba.
Yeah, this was the question. I jumped ahead just like a bingo game. So sorry about that, Mr. Mayor. My question is on process. When a person sends a concern into the city and all the investigation is continued and once it's completed, how long does that process usually take? And obviously by the actions of the people that have to mow their lawn and clean up the property, but just give a general synopsis. I've had several people ask me that question, and I guess there's one bylaw officer and a lot of offenders, so people are just like the drive-through society. Everybody wants everything yesterday. So
that's right.
Thank you.
You know, that's an excellent question, and the short answer is that depends. But I'll give a few general scenarios. How about that? So for tall grass and weeds in a yard, we do work under our property standards bylaw as well as the Noxious Weed Act. Dandelions are among noxious weeds, and it's very rare that there's tall, unkept grass that does not have dandelions. So we're able to accelerate that process to about 5 to 7 days from the time of issuing a notice to the time that it needs to be cut. And if it's not cut, then it is the address is sent to Dauphin Rec Services. They do the cutting, and then the property owner gets invoiced for that. For all other property standards issues, there's a process in our property standards bylaw, and it's I would call it a 3-step process. One is more of an informal notice that's given, and it's usually 5 days to clean up. And sometimes if it's just a bit of garbage or this, that, or the other thing, that's easily being able to do. If it's not done after the 5 days, then there's another more formal written notice that's got more information on it, usually accompanied by a few pictures to make sure that the homeowner or the tenant is clear on what needs to be done. And that's usually given about another week to do that. If it's still not done, then it goes to a 3rd step. And it is, again, I guess it's getting more formal or more lengthy in what the process is. And this one does, it's about 3 weeks for that one. And it does involve some consequences. So one of those things where if the homeowner or the tenant does not do it, the city may do it. And then again, the cost of that would get charged back to the tenant or homeowner. There's also an appeal process with that 3rd warning, whereas the offender or alleged offender could appeal to council for either more time to complete the task or not to complete the task because they don't think that that's what needs to be done. So it could be as quick as a day or two if the resident complies. It could be weeks if they don't comply, and sometimes they partially comply, and then we work with them back and forth to help them to get to a point of where it's acceptable.
Well, I thank you very much for that detailed explanation. We all on council understand the process, but sometimes the public does not. So sometimes the public needs to be reminded that there is a process, and I thank you for that.
Yes, and it does serve us well to act within our bylaws. For any challenges, we do need to make sure that our processes are according to the bylaw.
Thank you again.
Councillor Eilers.
In addition to that, I've had a lot of complaints about the CN property. We've got a phone number for them, and I was wondering if that was shared with our officer, because again, a lot of people, I had one that they say about our yard, and they said, well, what about the CM property? Because that's where a lot of the dandelion is, and if you take a look, it is just awful. And they had promised, I have been in contact, every time I talk to them, they promised. And this year, they sent us information for us to contact them. There's a number. I was trying to find it, but my Wi-Fi died here, so I couldn't locate it. I'll have to get Justin to take a look at it. But that's something that we have to do on a regular basis, is to make sure that we contact the CN before those dandelions get into the nice fluff, right? And, you know, it was just wall-to-wall yellow when drove the other day, and with this rain is even more so. So I think if we want our residents to take care about controlling the dandelions, I think we have to do our part in getting a hold. And unfortunately, the CN runs right through our community, and it is just awful. So I hate to be negative about it, but you know, people see this and it takes away from what everybody's doing.
Further, if you're contacting CN, like when Councillor Eidler said that, I mean, we have this talk every year, right? Yes. You know, and we're always, you know, maybe if we can sense our frustration that we have to contact them year after year. Thank you.
Okay, I'll call the questions on the report. Any, all in favor? Okay, motion carried. Moved by Councillor Eilers, seconded by Councillor Juba. Be it resolved that Council accepts as information the minutes and report from the following committees. Number one, the Dauphin Neighborhood Renewal Corporation, their regular board meeting for January to May of this year. Number two, the Dauphin Public Library's regular board meetings for February 22nd and May 17th. Number three is the Parkland Regional Library, their regular board meetings for February 19th and May 2nd. Number four is the Fort Dauphin Museum annual general meeting back on October 6th, 2021. The regular board meeting on May 4th, 2022. The profit and loss budget versus actual January to December of 2022, and the balance sheet previous year comparison as of June 1st of this year. And lastly, number four, the Intermountain Watershed District regular board meetings for March 16th and April 22nd of this year. Any questions or comments regarding any of those minutes? Seeing none, I'll call the questions. All in favor? Motion carried. Moved by Councillor Eilers, seconded by Councillor Bellemare. Be it resolved that Council accepts as information a memorandum dated June 13th, 2022 from the ICT manager indicating that the City of Dauphin was the successful recipient of the Building Sustainable Communities Grant for window replacement at the Watson Arts Centre, and that the province requires the receiving municipality to sign the contribution agreement to receive the funds and commit to the required reporting. Further be it resolved that Council agrees with the ICT manager's recommendation and authorizes the city manager to sign the contribution agreement on behalf of the City of Dauphin. Any questions or comments there? Yeah, go ahead, Councillor Bellemare.
My comment is yippee, new windows, yeah.
For sure. Yes, Councillor Juba.
I was just going to say, when I was on the Watson Arts Centre committee, those windows were a big issue of concern, and thanks to Councillor Bellemare's persistence, we got the job done. We'll have new windows there, and they will follow the historical recommendations as well. So the Watson Arts Centre will be in great shape.
Councillor Bellemare, or sorry, Councillor Eilers.
I was just reading through this contract. They sure have everything covered in here, like talk about extension. I went through this and I'm going by, you know, they've got everything, like even the termination. So they've got it really well outlined. And the only thing I was seeing is, I don't know, I guess what I was looking at is the type of windows. Are they the you know, energy saving? Because I mean, it's got to be historical as well. So I didn't see any rating for what they would be for, as far as you know, in here it doesn't give details of the type of the windows, is what I'm saying.
So Councillor Bellemare might want to expand on it, but and I'm just getting a text. Triple pane glass windows is the request, and it is to replace the glass inserts, not all of the frames. So this is a approximately $150,000 project to replace the glass inserts of all the windows. If there's any rot or anything that we need to work on the frames, that would be extra, and we want to do that to ensure energy efficiency. But otherwise, it would be probably close to $1 million project to do all the windows with brand new wood encased for the historical value point of it project. So this is something that will definitely increase some of the efficiency. It might not be as high as what we'd like with brand new windows, but we're hearing reports from the Watson Arts Center saying you walk by some of the windows and it's a little windy when the window's closed. So that it will be an improvement. And then secondly, we just talked last week at a meeting, and we want to explore perhaps, so the RFP for the window replacement's not gone out yet. So we want to explore maybe 2 options. One is, or even 3 options for the auditorium upstairs. One is replace as is, which are just solid panes of glass or like solid glass. Another is to have the transom windows that open at the top, or a part of them, that part of the windows that open at the top to allow for the natural cooling. And then we know that would be more expensive and maybe a little harder to open and close without some fancy mechanism. So then a second or a third quote would be even opening on the bottom of the window, just to allow some airflow or some breeze to come through the auditorium to help with the cooling process.
That's always been a major concern when you go to events there, that there isn't the air circulation they want. But I'm glad to hear that it's triple pane, because that is energy efficient. Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Perfect. I'll call the questions. All in favor? Motion carried. Moved by Councillor Eilers, seconded by Councillor Bellemare. Be it resolved that Council accepts this information correspondence dated June 3rd, 2022 from Nick Kullick, Director, Outcomes and Strategic Policy, Manitoba Municipal Relations, informing the City of Dauphin that the province is providing a one-time contribution based on population of $98,813.09 for support for road reconstruction, rehabilitation, and preservation projects in recognition of the extraordinary winter and spring weather conditions that have resulted in above normal deterioration of road surfaces. And further, be it resolved that the Director of Public Works and Operations reviewed the letter agreement provided by the province and determined the City of Dauphin can comply with the conditions of the funding in 2022 and or 2023. And we'll allocate the funds to road rehabilitation projects. Further, be it resolved that Council authorizes the City Manager to sign the letter agreement on behalf of the City of Dauphin. Any questions or comments there? Councillor Bellemare.
Yes. Do we know what this money will be used for? Is there a new project coming on board or supplementing others?
We talked about what our options were, and with where we're at, and our projects, capital projects have been tendered already. We are able to use this for our preservation, and so any winter patching and spring patching work will fall under the requirements of this program. So we're spending this money as we talked pretty well here tonight. So we've been patching for about 4 or 5 days. Sterlings have been in town, so that will all qualify on this as like a preservation and rehabilitation. So
further. Okay, I'm going to probably go off topic a bit with this meeting, but you mentioned Sterling. I was driving here tonight and there was a semi-truck front and a very long cab backing up on a street in North End Dauphin, and there were cars parked on both sides of the street. Like, I was in absolute awe of the Sterling driver's ability to back that huge truck up on this residential street. So these guys are awesome. Like, wow.
Councillor Eilers.
In addition to what Councillor Bellemare was saying, I was wondering if there could be any way that they could put signage so that cars aren't parked there, because I've seen several, just what you're saying, several times where they had difficulties going. I know down the one street they blocked off and they put you know, that there was being repairs, but maybe we should be doing that on a more frequent basis.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's so it's really tough with this patching operation because we do the traffic control for them, and it's a very quick moving operation because the patches will take maybe a yard or two of asphalt and that's about it. So and oftentimes the trucks don't have to back down the street if the patches are small enough. The paver is able to fill its hopper, pull in, patch the repairs right now, and then once we get to our reconstructions and rehabilitation projects and the capital projects, that's when we close the roads down and sign them better. I understand that it's frustrating right now, but it's a matter of just available bodies to try to follow around, and it's a really quick moving operation. So we would have half the communities closed, roads closed with the amount of cuts we had this winter and patches we have. So, and the only way to do that efficiently would just be to close them down until they're patched. And so people could go 3 or 4 days without being able to access their street right now, which isn't a realistic option. So
I was just going to say that this is the first time in a number of years that I've seen so many, like our community's been really hampered by what our weather conditions is. Like our main street, like is just awful towards the south end. And there's a few other streets that you drive on that are really bad.
We had a tough winter. And,
yes, that's what I was saying.
Yeah.
I keep telling that because people are complaining about it. So.
Not quite, I don't believe, a record number of water main breaks, but we had enough that's it's unfortunate, but that's what the weather we dealt with. So
thank you for all the work that you guys are doing anyway. But it really is good to see. I've seen a lot of, they've cut and they're waiting for that, for it to be patched. And it is on some of our major arteries. So that's good to see that it's being, especially on River. There's where the new stoplights are, eh? So it's really bad. I drove on the other side because I was hauling water and I didn't want to on the back of the truck. So anyway, I hope that's repaired soon too. Thank you.
Councillor Juba.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. At the risk of sounding redundant, there's a report from where everything happens in the neighborhood. We had 2 cuts on our street. That the team went in there, put barricades on it, and people were on the barricade through the cut on 2 sides of their wheels just because they thought they could. So you could put up all the traffic barriers you want, and people just do not respect them anyways. And I'll say this, when the Sterlings and the city came and fixed those patches, it was done very expeditiously, and I just wanted to thank you for that. So we had 2 water main breaks on their street, and thank you for all the work.
Call the questions. All in favor? Motion carried. Moved by Councillor Juba, seconded by Councillor Bellemare. Whereas a consortium including Dauphin Recreation Services is constructing a accessible toboggan hill on DRS's downtown recreation land, and whereas in order to provide power to the site, Manitoba Hydro requires the request to be made through a council resolution. So be it resolved that council accepts this information, an email dated June 6th, 2022, and associated drawing from Nicole Grislow, Energy Services Advisor for Manitoba Hydro, advising council of the requirement for a council resolution to change the power service at the Dauphin Recreation Services downtown recreation site to accommodate the construction of an accessible toboggan hill. Further be it resolved that council requests the following from Manitoba Hydro on the DRS site of the accessible toboggan hill, referencing Schedule A, salvage 11 67 watt and 1 40 watt street light, poles, spans, and anchors at no cost, and relocate the plant and increase it by 800 amps, 120 240 volts capacity at cost. Any questions or comments there? It's a very interesting Schedule A, but I'll call the questions. All in favor? Motion carried. Moved by Councillor Eiler, seconded by Councillor Bellemare. Be it resolved that council accepts as information the invitations listed below. Under A, number 1, invitation to the Parkland Chamber of Commerce annual State of the District address. That's happening tomorrow at the Watson Arts Center. And under B, community events. 4 items. Number 2, Northwest Métis Council Incorporated's National Indigenous Peoples Day. That's going on June 18th, this Saturday. Number 3, Dauphin Neighborhood Renewal Corporation's Healthy Lifestyle Bingo every Tuesday starting on June 21st. And Canadian Royal Purple Lodge 387's Dauphin Lodge meeting going on June 14th, tomorrow. Number 1 on the list is the Habitat for Humanity fundraising barbecue going on June 16th. Councillor Juba just wants to say a few words about that. So take it away, Councillor Juba.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. I'm just going to read a part of the official press release that was issued today and shared widely throughout the media world. Habitat for Humanity Manitoba Dauphin chapter is excited to announce it's starting construction of a second home June 15th. Fusion Credit Union is sponsoring the kickoff of this project with a fundraising barbecue in their parking lot 505 Main Street North, Dauphin, from 11 a.m. to 1:30 on Thursday, June 16th. The programming and speeches will begin at 12 p.m. There will be a 50-50 draw and an opportunity to sign 2x4s that will be placed in the home as a legacy project to show community support. Habitat for Manitoba Dauphin chapter is an organization that mobilizes volunteers and community partners and work with people from all walks of life to build safe, decent, affordable housing for purchases by families living with low income. This community has worked very hard and stayed together through challenging times. I am proud of the hard work of each of the members of our group, and we look forward to the successful completion of this build. The Dauphin chapter would like to thank Thomas Sell Foundation for contributing $10,000 towards the build of this new home that will empower the Habitat partner family, Chantel, a mother of 3 children, ages 16, 12, and 10, to build strength, stability, and safe reliance. The committee would like to thank Fusion Credit Union, who have donated $7,500 so far, and they will also be contributing the proceeds raised at the barbecue. Another thank you goes out to Dauphin Co-op Food Store, who have donated food, CKDM, who will be live on location broadcasting the event, the Dauphin Herald for their extensive coverage of all the Habitat events. Mr. Mike's have a couple of special cooks from Mr. Mike's to help us out. So everybody is really contributing to help us out with this. Other fundraising efforts in support of the construction of Habitat Home will include the committee running the canteen at the community yard sale at the Dauphin Friendship Center on Saturday. All proceeds from the canteen will go towards the build. So thank you very much for allowing me to read this.
Thank you, Councillor Juba. All in favor? Motion carried. Moved by Councillor Eiler, seconded by Councillor Bellemare. We'll move to Councillor's privileges, and we'll start with Councillor Bellemare.
Thank you. May 31st, I attended a Watson board meeting. And just to note that their AGM will be held on Tuesday, August 23rd. They're looking for new board members, so consider if this is an opportunity for you to become involved. If you need more information, call Peter at the Watson and he will answer your questions. On June 1st, I attended the inaugural meeting of the Environmental Stewardship and Climate Adaptation Committee meeting at noon hour. We're gathering our thoughts on where we want to go with this new necessary initiative in our community. On June the 2nd, we had a class of grade 3 and 4 children from Henderson School come to City Hall. It was really cute because they love sitting in our chairs and using the mics, and they were very interested in all sorts of things in the City Hall, and they asked great questions. And Lisa Godet did a really good job conducting that tour. On June 6th and 8th, I was part of the Urban Systems City Plan workshops. While I appreciated the 2 sessions I was involved in and found them very productive, I was really pleased at the turnout at the public session on Tuesday, plus the large number of community members taking the time to fill out the survey. And that's how we build a great community, by having input from many stakeholders. It's great to be able to get back to undertakings like this. June 10th, I attended the Watson Liaison meeting, and as mentioned, the new windows were discussed. And also, please note that there's been a new railing installed on the front entrance stairs to make it more accessible for people entering and exiting the building. And upcoming on the 22nd, Dauphin is hosting the Parkland District meeting for the Association of Manitoba Municipalities. So we're going to have reps from neighboring municipal councils and staff that will be here. And we appreciate the opportunity to show off our great city. And kudos to all the community members who are assisting with the settlement of our new families from Ukraine. Thank you for your generosity with cash and with donating household items. And by the way, there is a huge yard sale in the back hall of the Friendship Center. And now that all the new households have the items that they need, the excess items will be sold. Jeremy from the Friendship Center needs that space back for other events that they run, and he's actually given us that space for a couple of months. So imagine that back hall that has 5 rows of tables from one end to the other, and those tables are all full. There is a lot of stuff. If you can't find something there. Anyways, so it starts at 10 on Friday and ends on Saturday afternoon, and proceeds from this event will also support the Parkland Family Settlement Program. And also, I'd like to thank Catherine for her involvement with our council this year. It's been great to have you here and here all the time telling us what you're up to, and we really appreciate that and wish you well with the upcoming grad and what lies ahead for you. So thank you. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Councillor Bellemare. Councillor Juba.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Catherine, I just want to wish you well in your future endeavors. You've been an excellent participant here with us on council, and I hope you learned a lot about municipal affairs, and hope someday you become a municipal leader. All right. Okay. I just wanted to get that out of the way before I forget. So I didn't write it in my report. Councillor Bellemare was nudged my memory. So, all right. So I'll continue on. May 30th, I attended the regular City Council meeting here at City Hall. June 1st, attended Environmental Stewardship Climate Adaptation Committee meeting here at City Hall. June 6th and 8th, I attended the Urban System Development Plan and Development Plan workshops. I just want to take an opportunity to thank administration and all the staff of the City of Dauphin who took time out of their busy schedule to accommodate this massive undertaking, along with being occupied for 5 days with urban systems. They also had to manage the day-to-day operations of the City of Dauphin, and they had to put up with a pesky councillor bugging them for things. So I just want to acknowledge that they do work hard, extremely hard, and it was a trying week, and they met all the challenges expeditiously. So that's my community involvement. Tuesday, or I'm sorry, on Thursday, June 2nd, I attended the Habitat for Humanity Chapter Monthly Board meeting, and that's where we tidied up some of the details and for our the build and the barbecue. And it's been a long process, and I really appreciate the community for being patient with us. And this is an exciting initiative for our community. So kudos to fellow community members for all their hard work and dedication and staying together and positive through some tough times. On June the 11th, I wasn't able to attend the Ukrainian festival Kickoff. I understand it went off very well. I want to thank the organizers for all their hard work and look forward to Ukrainian festival as long as with Country Fest. Just a few words on the Parkland Ukrainian Family Fund. First of all, I want to thank the Dauphin Consumers Co-op for their $24,000 food card donation to the Parkland Ukrainian Family Support Team. This will be a massive help to the families as they adjust to our community. Further to that, the families have started English classes, and they're attending. Some have job interviews, and some have gained employment. I just want to acknowledge that our provincial and federal MP and MLA have been working extremely hard and have been very helpful and helping the Parkland Ukrainian Family Fund with identified problems that are and concerns that the group has come across. Every time there's a concern that's that the MLA and MP they were able to facilitate and continue to dialogue with us as we strive to make life easier for not only the Ukrainian settlers but for anyone else that wants to immigrate to our community. So a continued thank you to the City of Dauphin for the continued support of the group. As the families settle in, their changes and needs, their needs will have to be relooked at. So again, thank you to the community. And on this last Saturday, I attended the memorial service for Iona Tarrant. She's mother of our animal control officer, Todd Tarrant. And she was a valued community member. And anyways, that is my report. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Juba. Councillor Eilers.
Thank you. May 30th, I attended the regular council meeting as well as June 1st, as mentioned before, environmental stewardship and climate adaptation meeting. And June 6th, meeting with urban systems and read the city plan workshop. And June 8th and 9th, I spent at Waterfest in Ethelbert for 2 full days. We had 4 elementary schools attend from Dauphin, which were Ecole McNeil, Colonel Barker, Henderson, and Smith Jackson. We also had Grandview, Ethelbert, Winnipegosas, Ecole Laurier, and Duck Bay. We had over 260 students attending a series of workshops, which included everything from water management, waterways, soil, migration, etc. I did 23 workshops on composting and lost my voice. And that's just another story. And I really want to thank the Intermountain Watershed District Administration and all the volunteers. There was a lot that came in sponsorship as well for making this a very successful learning activity. And I think going by the sound of the children, I think they really enjoyed all the different activities. On June 8th as well, I attended the Urban Systems Workshop, and I thank all of those who participated, filled out the surveys, much appreciated. On June 11th, I attended the Canadian National Ukrainian Festival Kickoff party, and it was a lot of interesting music and a lot of good activities, and we've got some awesome dancers. We had even an RCMP officer who showed off her talents, so in full uniform. So I give her kudos for that. Thanks to Catherine for participating in our city council activity, and I hope you enjoyed it, and good luck with everything that you have, and I'm sure you're looking forward to summer off to relax. Anyway, condolences to Darlene McGimsey's family and friends on her passing. She worked in many jobs, including MTS and the hospital, and she was also involved in many community events, and Darlene will be missed. And I also want to encourage everybody to make sure that they take necessary precautions against mosquitoes and wood ticks by wearing appropriate clothing and spray protection. And that ends my report.
Thank you, Councillor Eilers. For the final time, youth member Catherine Kowalczyk, what do you got for us?
Thank you. I'll just say thank you to everyone for the wishes and congratulations. Yes, it was definitely a great experience. And I even told my friend Sophia to come for next year. So you guys will probably have another one. And yes, I'm looking forward to grad. And it's actually hard to believe that this is my last week of high school. So definitely going to be, I guess, emotional week. This is probably a good way to put it. But that's basically all for me. So thank you.
Well, thanks for coming and being a part of it. In case people are watching or wondering, the grad parade takes place on June 25th, Saturday at 6 o'clock, right? So do you know the route by chance? Same route as last year? Maybe? Okay. You'll probably hear more details and read about it in the Dauphin Herald in the coming weeks. So, yeah, go ahead, Councillor Bellemare.
Katie, do you know what time grad ceremonies start on the Saturday?
I'm pretty sure it's at 1 o'clock.
1 o'clock. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. For myself, when it comes to privileges, on May 30th, I attended the regular council meeting here at City Hall. The June 1st, Environmental Stewardship and Climate Adaptation Committee meeting here at City Hall as well. On June the 3rd, Friday, I spoke at the Manitoba Association of Fire Chiefs conference here in town at the Country Fest Community Cinema. Just want to say congratulations to Fire Chief Cam Avery and all organizers involved for putting on that great event. It was really nice to go into Credit Union Place and see it full of fire trucks and just overall stuff and people talking to one another and really networking. It was great to see. And Cam took me on a tour of the whole convention. And pretty much everyone in the entire building, Cam knew personally, which is definitely a positive for us to have here in the community with our fire chief. So again, congratulations, Cam, and everyone on a job well done on hosting that last weekend. On June the 6th, I took part in a piece of the city plan workshop, and again on Wednesday, June 8th with Urban Systems. I just want to thank again everyone who participated in the online surveys, as well as the in-person workshops too. Looking forward to the draft coming out in the near future. And also looking forward to it was mentioned earlier, the Chamber's State of the District tomorrow at the Watson Arts Center, along with actually a few barbecues going on this week. Really looking forward to all that stuff and getting started with summer, and Country Fest not too far away as well. And with that being said, one final thank you to Catherine Kowalczyk, our youth member. Moved by Councillor Bellemare, seconded by Councillor Eilers. Be it resolved that the council meeting be recessed at 6:12. Thank you.